Unforgettable stories out of Western Jamaica from the scrapbooks of Adrian Freighter. It is no secret that Jamaican politicians crave for the spotlight and naturally take great delight in being present at opening ceremonies or any other major events that are likely to land them on television during prime time. However, citizens, some of whom don't give a hoot about being the focus of television attention, often take matters into their own hands if they feel they are not being treated fairly, sometimes to the disgust of the politicians and those who give them cult-like admiration. In 1994, a situation unfolded in Montego Bay, which put the politicians on one side and the people on the other. The situation surrounded Jarrett Park, which was closed for close to 5 years for rehabilitation work, but was kept closed after the work was done because the plan was to have Prime Minister P.J. Patterson do the reopening, and the parish council was patiently waiting on him to become available to carry out the exercise. During the near 5-year closure of Jarrett Park, football fans had to journey to Wembley in Reading and the Nature Village Farm in Leithy, which was some distance away, to watch games. With the 1993-94 Premier League season drawing towards the semi-finals phase, the Jarrett Park Management Committee, which was responsible for the upgrading work at the park, had promised that the facility would be ready for the semi-finals. While the rehabilitation work was completed, no effort was being made to put the playing surface in a condition to host games, as the parish council seemed hell-bent on keeping it closed until the Prime Minister was ready to open it. Determined that the park would have to host one of the semi-final games, which had two Montego Bay teams in Violet Kickers and Seba United, members of the public and other interest groups decided to take matters into their own hands and reopen the park themselves. A work day was decided on, and scores of residents, to include players, coaches, members of the media and football fans, men and women, turned about the park with their machetes, rakes and garbage bags and went on a whole-scale cleaning up exercise, putting the playing surface in top shape. Before the day was out, the playing surface was properly marked and the goalposts erected. The park was now ready for an inspection by the JFF. While the leadership of the St. James Parish Council was probably not happy with what had transpired, since it had derailed their own opening plans, they had no choice but to play along, because while they were the custodian of the park really belonged to the people of Montego Bay, and they had demanded it. In this edition of Lest You Forget, I will be looking at the visit by the JFF inspection team, which gave the all-clear for the semi-final games to be played at Jarrett Park. I will be revisiting, courtesy of two stories I wrote, one for the Gleaner and one for the Star, which were published on February 11, 1994, under the headlines Jarrett Park It Is, which was published in the Star, and Jarrett Park Gets Seal of Approval, which was published in the Gleaner. The Star story read as follows: At last, the wait is over. At last, the wait is over. That's what the people of Western Jamaica must be saying after yesterday's announcement by the Jamaica Football Federation officials that Jarrett Park, the region's leading sports complex, will host second-leg matches in the semi-finals of the National Premier League this weekend. It will mark the first time in nearly 5 years that Jarrett Park will see any form of sporting activity. The JFF team, headed by President Errandale, gave the go-ahead signal after a final inspection yesterday. Dale said he was satisfied with the progress of the work at the park and that the people of Montego Bay were deserving of a chance to see two of their teams, Seba United and Violet Kickers, in action in such a crucial stage of the competition. Seba carry a 1-0 first leg advantage over Arnett Gardens, while Violet Kickers are locked in a 1-1 tie with Clarendon's Galaxy. There will be a change in the format, however. The matches will not take the form of a doubleheader, as was the case in the first leg games at the National Stadium last Sunday, but instead, one will kick off tomorrow and the other on Sunday. An announcement as to which match will be played on either day will be made by the JFF today. The reopening of the park has been met with widespread approval from sports staff locals who have donated their time voluntarily in a bid to see top-class action once more. One of those happy sons is Seba's coach Steve Buckner, a retired referee and noted cricket umpire who has campaigned relentlessly for the awakening of Jarrett Park from its slumber. We have been travelling to and fro from Kingston over the past 2 weeks, Buckner said. We are happy for the decision because we deserve it. The Gleaner story read as follows. Jarrett Park, Montego Bay's premier sporting complex, was yesterday given the green light to host this weekend's second leg of the Craven A National Premier League semi-final, following a tour of the facility by a JFF team led by President Aaron Dale. In giving the go-ahead, Dale said he was heartened by the effort made to get the park in a state of readiness. We are satisfied that the facility is up to standard, and we believe that based on the effort that has been made to put the park in shape, Montego Bay is deserving of these games. Unlike last weekend's games played in the form of a doubleheader at the National Stadium, those in Montego Bay will be played over 2 days, one on Saturday and the other on Sunday. According to St. James FA President Sonny Vassell, the decision as to which team will play on each day will be worked out by the JFF as soon as possible with a view of giving the teams sufficient notice. JFF Administrator Las Walcott, who has toured the facilities on 3 occasions and who was instrumental in outlining areas that needed extra attention, also voiced his satisfaction. I feel relief that the JFF has given its approval. There is no question that fans in the West deserve to see some of the action at this crucial stage of the competition. Jarrett Park was closed in 1989 after it was deemed unsuitable to host international games. Since its closure, the government has invested some $7.5 million in its rehabilitation. As if to say thanks to the members of the public who worked overtime to ensure that the game was played in Montego Bay, both Seba United and Violet Kickers advanced to the finals after scoring good second leg wins over Arnett Gardens and Galaxy before the over 10,000 fans who jammed into Jarrett Park. Violet Kickers spanked Galaxy 4-0 for a 5-1 aggregate win, while Seba defeated Arnett Gardens 3-2 for a 4-2 aggregate win. The final, which was won by Violet Kickers, was the first ever all-Montego Bay final in the National Premier League. In looking back at that scenario in which the fans and supporters of football in Montego Bay took matters into their own hands to ensure that a semi-final game would be played in Montego Bay, it definitely makes it one of those unforgettable stories out of Western Jamaica. Unforgettable stories out of Western Jamaica from the scrapbooks of Adrian Freitas. Before you go, please remember to subscribe.